Hey guys, it's Kyla at the MJC, and today I'm here to do a quick video on filling out the Affidavit of Service form. This video in particular is going to talk about filling out this form if you have served the Part 1 documents, but if you've been directed to this video and you served something other than the Part 1 documents, most of the stuff will be very similar. It's just what you fill in this section may be a bit different. But before I get started on the video, as always, just a quick reminder that nothing in this video is intended to be legal advice. So this is a video, so I'm not able to analyze your specific situation, to make recommendations on whether what you've done counts as personal service, whether this is the best way to serve somebody, whether it's the right way for the situation you are in, and all that kind of stuff. So if you do have questions like that, those are great questions to get some legal advice about. Here in Milwaukee County, you can get brief legal advice for free through the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinics. If you're located in a county other than Milwaukee, you can contact your local clerk of court to find out what resources are available out in your area. All right, so taking a quick look at this form, the very top line is going to be the county where the case was filed. So this is not necessarily the county where you are giving the documents to the other person, but this is the county where the case was filed. If you're not sure what county that is, you can take a look at any of the original documents that you served. So the summons or the petition should list the county where the case was started. So we're just going to go here. Here, if you're serving Part 1 documents, you're going to check that it was marriage of. And then for the order of the names, just make sure it should be the same as it is on the summons or petition. Obviously, most likely, if you're filling this document out, this is probably somebody you know. And so most likely it's the petitioner who asked you to fill it out, and their spouse is the person who you gave the documents to. But just make sure that the order is the same as it is on the summons and the petition. So we're going to get that entered here. The next thing that you'll do is you'll put the case number. Again, the case number can be found on the summons and petition documents. You'll notice on my form, it is actually written in the case number line. For most of you, if you're serving documents, you'll find that the case number actually isn't written here, but it's stamped somewhere on usually the summons and hopefully the petition as well, but certainly the summons. It was stamped by the court. Here in Milwaukee, it's usually stamped in purple. Although it certainly could be other colors, but purple is just most common. And then it should follow this format. So it should be either 2 or 4 numbers at the beginning. Those should be the year. So 23 is in 2023, followed by F and A, and then 6 numbers after that. So just look for something in that format, and then that is your case number. You'll put the case number in here. So then looking at this form, you're going to sign this in front of a notary, so you are swearing under oath that it is true. Make sure you do need to be an adult, and if you're serving here in Wisconsin, you need to be a resident of either Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, or Minnesota. If you served somebody and you weren't serving in Wisconsin, you need to be a resident of the jurisdiction, the state where they live. So if you served in a state other than one of these 5, and that's where the person lives, what we usually do is we just use a pen, we line out these names, and then we write the state where you live up here. So if I served a friend's spouse in Colorado, and that's where I lived, I would line out these states and write Colorado up here. That's what we're able to do here in Milwaukee. It may not be acceptable in all jurisdictions, so all counties. So it might be something you want to double check with, get some legal advice on, but that's typically how we handle that. Down here, you're saying that you're not a party to this action. So basically you aren't one of the people involved in this case. If you are, then you are usually not able to serve documents. here you're going to put the date that you gave the documents to the other person, so that you gave them to the respondent in this case, because usually you're going to be serving the respondent, but it's when you gave the documents to the person. It does not have to be the same date that you're signing them. So today, as we're filling this out, it's June 30th. If I had served my friend's ex 2 weeks ago on June 15th, I could still write that here. So it just needs to be the actual day that you gave the documents to the person. And you can see it puts the date here, and then we put the year over here, which is annoying, but that's the way it's set up. And then you're also going to put an estimate of the time. So if I served, let's say at 3:35 p.m., I'm going to indicate that. And then here you're going to put the address where service occurred. And I'm just going to put the MJC's address here. Okay, so again, you'll put the address where service occurred. Make sure it's where you actually physically gave the documents to the other person. One thing I'll just note for you down here is at the time of service, you also need to put sign your name, and then put the time, date, place, so address, and manner of service, personal service, on a copy of the documents that's given to the other person. So on a copy of the documents that you serve, the ones that you give should have that information as well. In this section here, you're going to go ahead and put what documents you gave to the other person. Hopefully, your friend, family member, the person who you are serving for is able to tell you what documents there are, but if you're not sure, or if both of you aren't sure, you can go ahead and take a look at this top right-hand portion. So you can see this is the top part of the sheet, and it's the right-hand corner. You should find the name of the document. So hopefully you can keep an eye on what documents you're serving. Usually for part 1, you're going to serve an authenticated, a court-stamped copy of the summons and petition. You may or may not have an affidavit to show cause and an order to show cause and an affidavit for a temporary order hearing. If you do, you'll check this box and put the date that the temporary order hearing is scheduled for. If those documents weren't included in your case, which is totally possible, then you don't need to list them. If you gave a blank copy of the financial disclosure, you'll check this box. If the two parties in this case have minor children together, it is likely that one of the documents in that stack that was given by the court to be given to the other person is a requirement to attend a parent education class. So if that document is in the stack, you can go ahead and check that. If you don't see any of these, if you go, I don't think those were there, then you won't check those boxes. You're just including the documents that you are giving to the other person. Last but not least, down here, if you're serving Milwaukee County divorce documents, then there's probably a document in them that says notice of dismissal date. It's actually a bit of a confusing form because often it says order for hearing or notice of hearing, but then if you actually read the document, it says this is not setting a hearing, it's setting a dismissal date. That's something that is pretty unique to Milwaukee, so if your documents came from another county, you may not have that. But if the case was started here in Milwaukee, then you can also put the notice of the dismissal date here. So you've got that. And then you will want to make sure that here you're going to put the name of the person you gave the documents to. So you're saying, I personally gave a copy of these documents with the person I served, and I know that that person is, and then you'll put their name. So if if John has asked me to give the documents to Jane and I've agreed to do that, I am saying down here that I gave them to a person and that I know the person I gave them to is Jane Doe. So I would put her name down here. And a little bit late to the game, but I guess I should mention that it's possible the document you got had some of this already filled in for you, so it might have had parts of the caption filled in, or some of the documents, or the person's name filled in. If the person you're serving for, the person who has asked you to serve, got help at a brief legal advice clinic or a family forms clinic or something like that, the volunteers may have filled in as much as they could. So make sure, even if these sections are pre-checked, that you go ahead and take a look and make sure it does reflect accurately what you gave the other person, because you are going to swear under oath that that is true. And then you are going to sign this form in front of a notary. So don't sign it until you're in front of the notary. When you go to the notary, depending on where you go, it's probably useful to have your photo ID with you, because the notary has to verify that you're you. You can find notaries at most courthouses. You can also find them at many banks and some post offices. So hopefully you're able to track down a notary. All right, well, that is it for this document. And so until next time, I hope that you guys are able to go out and represent yourselves well.